3.
All right.
1.
Welcome to DoubleDLovecast.
I'm Desiree.
And I'm Daymond.
And this is Reality Life Therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought it would be a good idea to start all of our episodes going forward about our recent dates, because we do date days twice a week together. And because there's a lot of stuff like leading up to, you know, our fight, our separation, getting back together, but we wanted to make sure that we started to share some good positive stuff that you guys can actually start doing now. So last week we do like really simple dates between during the week, because we have a crazy schedule, you know, especially with like summer school and the kids and our training schedule. And I have another job. So we are always constantly busy. So we always like to just kind of like have a chill type of date, right?
Yeah, Wednesday, the midweek date.
Yeah. So what did we do last week?
So last week we went to this little lookout point over like right over by the house, and at this like little park, and then we just hung out there and just chit chatted, and you know, so that was really what we did and then after that we went to the bar and had a drink because usually our date days usually involve some wine. So
yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so you guys that have been part of the Facebook group that we already started, I shared a book called 8 Dates. That was really, really effective. And it had a lot of talking points that we have used in our dates after every chapter. It gives you a ton of questions that you guys can ask each other. I think that we've learned more about each other like in the last like few months than we have in the last 12 years, honestly.
For real.
And so it just gives you a lot of stuff to talk about. And one of the things that we learned too in reading these dating books for couples is you have to separate your serious dates where you talk about finances, kids, you know, your bills, all the crap that's going on. It has to be completely separate than having a actual date where it's fun. You guys are engaging in each other.
It's about each other.
Because honestly, if I knew that we were going to go on a date and we were only going to talk about bills and finances and like kids drama and all this other BS, do you think that I want to keep on going on dates? Probably not, right? Because that doesn't sound fun whatsoever. So
she just said the key word too, guys. Fun.
Yes.
You gotta have fun.
You have to have fun.
This is what tends to get lost in a lot of your guys' relationships. You know, you get overwhelmed by life, you know, you've already achieved all your goals, hitting your marriage, having your kids, and you tend to lose the fun part. Yes. So you got to make sure that you have fun, because that is where your relationship was built and established to begin with.
Absolutely. Right? And, you know, in this book we read, it says that couples should spend 15 hours a week with one another doing stuff, engaging in your relationship. And I can guarantee you, like, I don't even think by us doing our 2 dates a week is even 15 hours.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
How many of you guys spend 15 hours, right? Yeah. Like together with your significant other? Probably not very many.
Other than you guys laying on the couch, watching TV, doing nothing. Okay, that ain't a date.
That's not a date.
Okay, it's not a date. Okay. So you may be spending time with them, but you're not actually connecting with them, right? And spending time investing in the actual relationship itself.
Yeah. So one of our dates always definitely includes a lot of question asking. So get on there, read 8 Dates. This is even going to help you people that are trying to even find your significant other, because you're going to learn about questions to ask, because there's a lot of questions that we had no idea. We're like, wow, we
never talked about this.
We were like completely blown away by some of the stuff that they asked.
We're like 12 years in and we're like, damn, we've never talked about this before. Yes. So
definitely.
Yeah, great book.
Yeah. And then so we did have a really, really fun date on
Saturday.
It was actually with some other couples, but we were out dancing, music. That's kind of like our thing. We love live music and dance.
Yeah.
And just feel the beat.
I like to lose my shit. So like, woo! Right. So,
yes.
Okay, so let's recap. So what did we talk about last week?
So last week we talked about kind of like our history of our own life growing up and how we are just we grew up so different. Like I grew up like, you know, from a divorced family. My mom passed away, lost my first husband and a baby, and never had never like went without anything, brand new homes. Your story is completely different.
I grew up fatherless, 100%, grew up angry as hell and super poor.
Yes.
So two totally different backgrounds and two totally different pains on each side of our part. So we were both damaged in two different ways trying to run a relationship with a blended family. And we faced a lot of challenges, which is what we're going to be discussing in future episodes and stuff. So
yes, definitely. So we are actually going to be talking about Liz's dating. So our whole series today is going to be on dating, and we're going to talk about our first date because we left off the last episode on how we met at my 30th birthday party.
Oh yeah.
And
okay. Am I going to run with this? Okay. All right. So this is basically how date one went. Okay. So when I met Des at the party, okay, keep in mind, I told you last episode, okay, I was the kind of guy, I was in my prime. Okay. I was in my prime and I did not want to settle down. I did not want to have a wife. Never wanted to get married in my life. Like I just was that dude who was going to be eternally single and just enjoy the fruits of it. Okay. That was my agenda. Right. But with that said, I had actually, because I do a lot of personal development. Right. And I had read a book and it was talking about like, to write down exactly the things that you want in life. Right. And so when it came to relationships, right. And I'm like, if I'm ever going to settle down with anybody, right, they got to have this. Okay. That
laundry list of stuff.
That list was like 105 things. Okay. I'm not even kidding you.
So you guys, so from the time that I met him to the time we actually went on a date was like 1 week period. So we did talk on the phone and seriously, he's telling me all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, is this guy for real? Like he is so full of himself. I just got to go out to see what it's like because he's so ridiculous.
I was cocky, arrogant. I still am. Okay. To some extent, I'm a little more humble these days, but for the most part, I still have that kind of mentality. But, and the reason why my list was so extreme is because I had been in past relationships before where they basically taught me what I don't want. Right. And every woman that I had ever met in my life never stood a chance of ever settling me down anyway. I would always find ways to disqualify them. And that's really what this list was. Right. This list was basically like, look, I never want to get married. And the girl would have to have all this. And if she has all that, then I'll consider being exclusive. Right. Maybe one day I'll consider getting married. Right. But really, the list was really just to disqualify everybody. That's really all it was for. But it was like, at the same time, it was like my ideal woman. Right. So anyway, so I had written this list. Right. Happened to meet Des. And then, a few of the top 5 things on my list were, for number 1, it was fitness, right? Of course, right?
I haven't been a personal trainer forever, you guys, just so you know. I worked in corporate America at a franchisor, office job, listening to franchisees, customers' complaints all the time.
So, but that was also one of the things that attracted me to her whenever we had like that first when we met, right, was she was talking about working out and stuff. And I was like, huh? Right. So, anyway, I'm like, this girl works out. So literally the whole plan of the day was really just to test her and, see if she qualified. Right. And so I'm like, all right, she thinks she works out. She acts like she's this, badass fitness chick. All right, let's take her 1,000 steps, right? If she's fit, she'll do well. If she's not, she's going to puke.
Well, tell them, because we probably have other people that live in other states. Like, what is 1,000 steps?
Oh, great point. So 1,000 steps is this big group of, it's at the beach.
It's like 325 steep stairs or something like that.
218. Oh. And it feels like 1,000. That's why they call it 1,000 steps, because they're super steep and they just destroy you. Okay. I don't care how fit you are. These stairs will take your soul. Okay.
They're awful.
So I'm like, all right, if she's fit, let's put her to the fitness test and see if she can even qualify to go to the next round. Right. So we go to the 1,000 steps and then she kills it. Okay. Completely blows my mind. I had
never been there.
Yeah. She'd never been there before. I'm thinking she's going to throw up after 3. Okay. And she runs 8 of them. Okay. And I say runs because most people, when they go, they walk. Right. She ran that shit. And I was like, what the hell? She had never been there before. And I'm like, okay, you pass.
Guys, I am super competitive. If somebody thinks that I can't do something, I'm going to show them. And even when I do workouts now, like, you know, spin class or whatever, I have to be on like the top of the leaderboard. It's just my own personal.
She's super competitive,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, she's super competitive. So she killed it, right? So she makes it to the next round, right? So then I didn't really have like a plan for the rest of the day because honestly, I didn't think she was going to make it through round 1. But she killed it and surprised me, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. So she passes that test. All right, she's already like in a whole nother world because she passed that test. So I'm like, all right, I need to, you know, see what she's like conversation wise, just her and I one-on-one, you know, I need to see what she's like, you know, in like a nightlife aspect, you know, I'm gonna put her through all these tests and just see who she is, you know? So I take her home and feed her.
So we had already kind of planned this out. We were going to work out and then go out. So I had brought like clothes to change and I could shower at his house and everything. And, yeah, he thinks
I already know what she's going to say.
And I should have learned my lesson after we went to the stairs. Like, I'm thinking like, I'll get dressed. He's going to take me out to lunch, to dinner or something. It's the first date. You kind of like, don't you kind of like do a little bit more?
I only do that with girlfriends.
Guys, he fed me a protein shake and an orange. What the heck? So I had to have a protein
That's
shake.
That's high quality food right there, right? We're going fine dining.
Cheap is what he is.
I was super poor at this time when we met, guys.
Very.
I was super poor.
Yes. He didn't have a lot to offer me at that point.
Nothing financially. I was just like, I was coming out of this rock bottom that I had just hit. I was literally just starting to pull myself out of it when we met. And I literally had nothing to offer financially from like a provider standpoint, you know, so.
Yeah, so he feeds me a protein shake and an orange before he takes me to a club, like drink and dance.
So anyway, so we go to the club, right? And back then, I used to party like 3 to 5 nights a week, right?
And I was just a soccer mom.
And she
in his eyes.
And so in my mind, exactly. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, look, I love to party, I love to dance. Like she's a freaking soccer mom. Like she's probably not gonna be able to keep up with my nightlife, you know? And then I'm like, let's put her through this test, right? She'd already kind of passed the first couple rounds, right? And I'm like, let's see if she even knows how to dance. She's a soccer mom. She probably all offbeat, like, on the dance floor, right? And I'm like, she's gonna be able to keep up with my nightlife. So I take her out to the scene, right? And I used to be into the party scene a lot, right? So I always get on the guest list and get walked in. I don't wait in line. Like we show up there, like there's like 50 people that I hug and say high five to, because I was in the scene. So I see the same people every week, right? And so introduced her to a ton of people that night and everything. And then I'm thinking in my mind, like, there's no way this girl can dance, right? And then we go on a dance floor and I'm like, what the hell?
This like soccer mom got moved.
She's like a little go-go dancer. I'm like, damn, ding, 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 ding. Like she passes that test too. And I'm like, holy cow. So
I always say I'm like a go-go dancer in my other life.
She is like, she's like my little go-go dancer, cause I DJ too. And she's like my little go-go dancer. But anyway, and we go out and stuff and we party and stuff like that. So we love to dance. That's just one of the things that we do. So anyway, so we go out, we party, and then we go back home. And I'm thinking that, and I'm actually really tired. It's been a long day.
Let's go back to the club. Who was the one that made the first move?
I don't know. Was it you?
I did.
What'd you do? Tell me about that.
I kissed you while we were dancing
on the
dance floor.
I don't remember who
because I got wasted, guys, because he gave me a protein shake and orange. I was fucking hungry.
So you're gonna eat
me over here.
She's eating my face because she was so hungry. Okay, yeah. So I don't remember who led that part, right? So anyway, so by the end of the night, like we had gone on this long date. Okay, from like morning till it's like 2 a.m. by the time we get back to my place, right? And and speaking of my place, at that time, this is how poor I was, guys. How poor was I?
he was so poor. He lived in a room with a house full of other dudes.
I was renting a room. That's how poor I was.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we get back to the house and I'm thinking soccer mom is going to want to go home. Right. And so we get there and I'm kind of like saying goodbye because I'm tired too.
I'm like, bye, let me in.
And she kind of like invites herself back into my place. Right. And ends up staying the night. And, then.
So it ended up being a 12-hour date.
And
basically.
she was tested in other ways and she passed those too. And so then here we are.
Kids, don't try this at home on your first date.
So that was kind of like our first date and how it kind of all played out, like in an accelerated form. Yeah. And
I think, one of the things that really I was attracted to him, because remember, guys, I was a single mom. My first husband passed away. I had 2 kids doing it on my own. My mom passed away, so I didn't have any help. So I really was just honestly like looking for fun. I was not looking for anything like serious. He's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun together.
And tons of fun.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys that don't really know me. You only see like my social media. You see the mean, the savage.
We see all the dunce, the
right?
videos of
nightlife. You guys haven't seen me in a social setting. I'm a ton of fun. So yeah. So anyway, so that's the first date. And then, so as the whole situation was, so I already knew like right away that, I was going to treat this situation different because she was Corey's sister, right? Which Corey, if you guys didn't see first episode,
Corey's my stepbrother.
Corey's her brother. He's the one who introduced us, right? And he's basically the one that hooked it up. So I'm like, all right, out of respect to Corey, I'm gonna treat the situation different than I would like a normal girl that I would just throw in my lineup, right? And so that was like how the whole first date and week played out, right? And then within like the first, I'd say like 30 days, like I already knew, like, because we were like, from that point on, we were inseparable, right? Like we were just completely inseparable. And I knew right away within the first 30 days, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna date this girl long term. Like this girl's like girlfriend material, right?
Not soccer mom.
Yeah, and then because we just had like this incredible relationship, and it just went just flawlessly together. And then by like about day 60, I already knew I was gonna marry her, and I'm like I never wanted to get married before, but like before day 60,
I'm amazing.
Oh, I forgot to tell them the story. You are amazing. But my hands are cold. But before, what else did I do too? Okay, remember what happened whenever we first started dating?
Well, he had his checklist. Remember, checklist. But one of the things too that I wanted to chime in on was that he had a kid that was 3. I had my kids. So we had all these kids, but we had a lot of alone time together because my kids would go to my late mother-in-law's house like every other weekend. And then your son would be with his mom. So we had a lot of time to have like at least a weekend together to where we could like build our relationship and
tons.
Yeah. So we have boys. So always like getting our boys together when we did do stuff with the kids.
Yeah, for sure. Now to back up, before we got to this day 60 point and I realized that like she was like going to be my wife, right? I had actually put her on probation. Okay. I had basically told her, I'm like, you're on 60 days probation. We're going to see how this thing plays out, right? I'm not, we're going to see how this thing plays out. We'll see if you make it past the 60 days, right? Because I'm still trying to disqualify her, right? But she was so amazing.
Guys, I'm competitive. I'm a winner. I win at everything. So I'm just like, probation. Passed that before 60 days.
So then, yeah, she did. So she ended up passing it before 60. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna let you out probation. I already knew, like, all right, this girl's gonna be my wife. Like that, she's like hands down, like she's gonna be my wife. So, and then so our relationship progressed, and like she was saying, like we had tons of time for each other, right? We not too long after that, she started training, right? We moved in together. And so we were spending a ton of time together. And one of her big love languages is quality time, right? Mine is more, I'm more of a touch and affirmations kind of guy.
So do you guys know why mine is quality time? Because I lost my mom, and I've lost really a lot of people close to me. And so time is something that you never get back. So I try to live my life having time that's like fulfilled with greatness and love and just making people feel so good. And so that's time. Time is so precious because that's something that you can never, ever get back.
Yeah. And she kind of lives that way in a way to where she's like, I could die at any moment, right? Car crash, plane crash, whatever.
Absolutely.
So she always wants to make sure that everybody knows and feels that she cares about them and she wants them feeling good, you know. So she's always trying to do that for people. But so anyway, so our relationship progressed. We were doing everything together, right? She left the corporate world, started training. So then we were in the gym together all day. We were at home together. We worked out together every single day of the week. We're at home together all day long. Whenever we put the kids down, right, we'd always lay in bed, hang out, and have lots of sex. And so we had all this time that we were always investing in one another in our relationship, because the situation was really, it was ideal. I mean, we even with blended families, like they send them to grandma's house, you know, all the time. Like, we need to go do something, send them to grandma's, right?
Yeah. Well, eventually the kids didn't want to go to grandma's house. They were getting older and teenage boys that, you know, had lost their dad and have their own issues. So not only do we have us being broken people, which you guys learned from our first episode, but now you have these broken kids that are finally growing up to where their insecurities and all the things that they have issues with, that's wrong with them from, you know, losing their dad and stuff like that, you know, is coming about. And, you know, drugs.
Especially when they hit puberty. They were pretty cool until puberty hit. And when puberty hit, they just became complete assholes.
Yeah. And so him and I started to butt heads a lot.
Yeah, we're not getting into that in this episode. That's next episode. So anyway, so that's basically kind of like how the beginning of our relationship went. So so for me, when it came to like, you know, our relationship progressing and everything, there's like a few things that like I've found that like led to me like really falling in love with her, to the point to where I was like, there's no way I could, like, I'm building my life with this girl. Like, there's no way I could live without her, you know. And then she's just always just doing these super sweet, considerate things. She's always thinking about others. She's always taking care of other people. She's tons of fun to hang out with, like, all the time. We could be chilling at home, laying on the couch, we're doing stupid shit, having fun, right? And she's just such a wonderful human being. And then on top of that, we've always had like this really, really, really great chemistry, right? So between us, like when it comes to like our physical connection, that's always been one of our strengths, right? And as a man, and as somebody who's you know, let's just say she's always fulfilled all those needs. So when it came to our relationship progressing, and what a lot of you guys have been following us for a long time, and used to see us as like this power couple, you know, she just fed all those things when it came to my which we learned later on, our love languages, right? Which for me was I'm a touch person, right? And so all she's got to do is just touch me, right? And I'm like a cat purring, like, right? And then she was always doing these things with like where she'd like leave me notes and things like that, and she'd hang a little sticker on the wall and be like, "You're so sexy," you know, or like, "You're amazing in bed."
Well, that was one of your love languages then, was like words of affirmations.
Yeah, that's number 2.
And if you guys aren't familiar with the 5 love languages, it's a book by, I think it's Gary Chapman, and it's really a good read to read with your partner, or even just by yourself, because you'll learn your love languages. But you'll also, what happens is, and I feel like a lot of people do this when they're in a relationship, is they actually do their love languages to their partner instead of doing their partner's love languages and like learning what those are. And you know, the reason for that is because, like, if I'm a quality time, like I'm going to try to spend a time with him because I kind of want that in return. Right. Or like, if I'm a gift giver, that's another one. I'm going to give him gifts because that's what I'm kind of like expecting from him. You know what I mean? So it's really important to know your partner's love language, because you may be doing all these things that are great things for your partner, and you think that those are awesome because that's what you want in return, when that doesn't fulfill your partner's needs.
Truth. Okay. So I see that happen a lot. So like I was saying, like she was filling my tank overflowing. Right. So like I said, I'm a touch. My touch is like my number one. Right. And then affirmations is like my number two. Those are like my top two. Right. You can give me gifts and all that shit. I don't really care about that. Right. It doesn't do anything for me. So, so for her, she was always, like, for example, anytime we go anywhere, we're always touching. Right? Like legs are in locked. They were constantly always touching. We're chilling at home. We got body parts, you know, interlocked, you know, we're constantly very, very physically, sexually, which also feeds that tank as well too. And so we're always touching, like even right now we're touching. Right. So, so that's one of the ways that she always kept my tank full. And then on top of that, like I said, she was always leaving those notes. She used to post on my Facebook wall, you know, and tell me how much that she loved me. And, you know, I was her forever person and stuff like that. Right. Which Mr. for me, Dreamy. Right. Exactly. And then, I forgot about that. So whenever we first started dating, she used to call me Mr. Dreamy. Right. So dreamy. And then, so that also filled my tank from like an affirmation standpoint. Right. And I remember one of the greatest memories that I have of her doing this is one time for like a Valentine's Day. You guys, she went all out. Okay. She literally cut out all these little hearts. Okay. And wrote affirmations, something cool. Like, I love you. Like something. You're like sexy. Yeah. Like good hundreds of them. Like, think of like the sweethearts, like candies that you get. Hundreds of them. That have like really cute things on them. Yeah. So, and then she wrote like all this stuff, right? Posted them everywhere. They were hanging off the ceiling. They were posted all over the house. They were in my gym bag. That I'd open up a book and there'd be one. I'd go to my truck. There's one hanging in my truck on the dashboard. Like they were everywhere. I was finding these things for months, guys. Like, and that was just one simple, cheap Valentine's Day thing she did. But that was one of those moments where it was like, when she did that, I was like, this girl gets me. This girl gets me. She's mine forever. So, forever. So that was kind of like, you know, some of the big things that as to the reasons why, like, I fell in love with her and I wanted to build a life with her and wanted to put that ring on her finger, right? This is mine. Okay. So, okay, I'm done. So that's kind of how it first started for the first couple years for us, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But that concludes our episode for today, guys. Yeah. So we're going to tell you next week. What we're going to tell you is we're going to talk about a little bit more to this. And then we're also going to talk about, we're going to fast forward into our problems that we had that led to our demise. Led to our relationship kind of falling apart, because I guarantee you guys are experiencing this right now. But it is our date day, so we gotta go. Yep, we get today's date day. So we will see you guys next week on another episode of Double D's Lovecast. Don't forget to share with your friends and comment if you want to be added to our Facebook group. Also, we created an email address for you guys to ask questions to us. I'll post that in the description below. I'll post it all in the description below. Did you get any questions from this past week? I had a couple people ask me questions. I had one. I can't remember what it was. One of the questions that somebody asked, because I'm super religious and I am, you know, a total Jesus lover, and Daymond's not. So somebody asked me. I'm a universe guy. Somebody asked me, like, how is that in your relationship with me being so religion based and him not? And good question. I think one of the things before we broke up, it was really important to me to make sure that my partner had the same, I would say values, but just wanted to, you know, pray together and just have that separate intimacy when it comes to, like, you know, doing communion and just being interlocked and just being able to share that on a whole different level. Daymond does go to church with me every week. I love church.
And I feel like sometimes
sing.
he says like,
I sing.
he feels.
Yeah, I'm like singing the worship songs and and I feel it sometimes whenever the songs are going on. Some of the songs are so powerful, like I can feel them in my soul, and I'm like, man, I felt that one, right?
It's God.
So
it's God working on him, guys. God's working on him. So yeah, so it hasn't been like a problem. I mean, it would be obviously amazing if that would happen. But, you know, when I do like take communion and I do pray, he's like right there.
So
with
she's
his arms
doing
around
it.
me.
You know, I'm rubbing her back and I'm speaking to the universe as she's speaking to God, right? And you know, we're on the same level and the same, we're just on it, you know, we're basically parallel, you know, we just have different beliefs, you know, and I support her and everything she wants to do. She wants to go on mission trips. She wants to go to church. I'm down. Let's go. Right. So
yeah, he's totally cool with like our kids going to church and being involved.
I actually
and like
encourage it.
Baptized.
Yeah, I want them to.
And all that stuff. So that has not been an issue. So yeah.
Yeah.
So if you guys,
go
ahead if you want to finish talking.
Yeah, the lesson there is basically what you could be learning from this is regardless of what your beliefs are, when it comes to many other areas of life, support your person, right? Support
as long
them,
as they're doing something good.
Support them in their goals, support them in whatever it is that they want to achieve and help them get there, you know, right? Like, so, and that's the way that I live it. I'm like, she's totally into, you know, this whole thing. And I'm like, cool, let's do it. Like, I got your back. So
yeah. So if you guys can always email us your questions and we could bring it up on the next episode. It is double. So the word actually spelled out double and then D. So like double D, like Des and Daymond, Lovecast at gmail.com. All right, guys. So don't forget to comment, like, share everything that you possibly can on this.
Questions. Send them, right.
And but thanks for tuning in. It is time to go on our date.
Yes, let's go.
Bye, guys.
Okay. Bye, guys.